I'm leaving. Go marry someone else and make him famous. Just take away your freedoms like you did to me. Treat him like you ain't nothing. Okay, all right, go ahead.
And we're leaving that in.
No.
Welcome to today's episode of Choosing the Numbers, your statistics and sports podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Tracy.
And I am Marshall Mathers.
Sure, buddy. And welcome to tonight's episode of the show, the Thursday night morning, I guess technically, episode of your favorite podcast. Coming at you on Wednesday, February 10th. The Super Bowl is a recent memory, and we're going to go over the game, hot takes, and thoughts and feelings from the last game of the NFL season, and get into a slew of other NFL topics that have been happening over the course of the past week. So there's a lot to get into. We will do what we can in the hour and change we typically do things in. So, Corwin, are you ready to get started?
I guess. I mean, to let everybody in on the kind of day, I guess Josh and I are both having is Josh started, I'm rapping, and as soon as he starts talking, I immediately just yawn into the mic. So I hope y'all can hear that. It's pretty good.
Yeah, we are both barely alive today. Enjoy it. All right, so the Super Bowl was a 31-9 Tampa Bay Buccaneers win over the Chiefs, shattering both Corwin and I at my impression or prediction of the game winner and score. It was for Patrick Mahomes. He went 26 for 49, 270 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks, good for a 52.3 quarterback rating. He also attempted 5 rushes for 11 yards, 33 yards. Tom Brady, on the other side of the ball, 21 for 29, 201 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 sack, a 125.8 quarterback rating. On the Chiefs side of the ball, they had 100-yard performer. Travis Kelce went 10 receptions on 15 targets for 133 yards. But that's it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire finished with a combined 87 yards, and then no one else got more than 80. Most people finishing below 20. On the Tampa Bay side of the ball, Leonard Fournette had a over 100-yard performance, 89 yards rushing, 46 yards receiving, 1 receiving touchdown. And then that's it for their 100-yard receivers. But, you got 60 yards from Ronald Jones, 67 yards from Rob Gronkowski, production happening elsewhere. Anyway, Corwin, what did you think of this game?
As far as Super Bowls go, God damn it, off to a great start today. You're welcome, guys. Not fantastic. Game-wise, I thought it was fairly boring, even though the Tampa Bay defense was wildly dominant. It really just goes to show, we talk about this come draft season. We talk about this through, when we reach free agency, whenever we talk team building, teams are built on the foundations that you have with your offensive and defensive line. And that was just such a clear example in this game. The Tampa Bay offensive line was unstoppable. Tom Brady barely had to move an inch. The Tampa Bay defensive line was just so utterly dominant of the Kansas City backups that it completely shut down what is, the modern day greatest show on turf. And it was shocking, I would say, for most people watching, because, we don't see Pat Mahomes get shut down. It's just not something that has occurred more than twice, I would say. Both Chargers games would be the only times that I really have ever seen the offense look bad. And, Pat Mahomes played his fucking heart out, but the pressure is just unbeatable. Like, there's no way to kind of work around that. As great of a coach as Andy Reid is, he is great at preparation, almost unbeatable when it comes to preparation. In-game adjustments is not something he does well, and, you go into this game with a broken offensive line against a absolutely dominant front seven. You have to think to yourself, "Okay, I have Pat Mahomes, I have Tyreek Hill, I have Travis Kelce. We're gonna be throwing the ball 40 times this game." And what happened was, they basically were expecting pass on every single play, and they defended the pass on every single play, and they were able to get pressure without blitzing the quarterback with four-man rushes, and they didn't change their game plan to run the ball. They averaged, like, 6 yards a rush, and they couldn't really take advantage of it because they didn't make those adjustments. I imagine part of it was not wanting to take the ball out of Pat Mahomes' hand as they were falling behind, and it led to what we saw. It's hard to beat Tom Brady in a Super Bowl to begin with. It's hard to beat Tom Brady in a Super Bowl when you're down early, and, it kinda was the perfect storm for Tampa Bay where everything went their way. So, I've been rambling for a while now, so Josh, you have, any thoughts, anything that stuck out for you from this game?
Oh man, I think the lack of deviation from the because one of the things that felt weird about this game is it felt like we were watching the same plan from Kansas City the entire way through. At no point did it feel like they were trying too much different. Um, which would be one thing if they were winning. They very much so were not. They had that 3-point advantage in the beginning because of the field goal, and then the second that Gronk got his touchdown, his first touchdown of the day, they never came anywhere near leading again in the game. Um, Obviously, Kansas City's receivers really let him down. Some terrible, terrible drops this game.
Mhm.
Um, but even if they made all those catches, the defense that Tampa Bay brought, the defensive plan that Tampa Bay brought to this game, I'm still not sure it would have been enough. I actually think Kansas City's defense performed rather admirably. There's only so much one can do. Um, 31 points is obviously a lot, but you know, two turnovers with the interceptions from off of Mahomes, and the fact that the Chiefs just never really got anything going led to a lot of very successful drives, with a lot of very good field position too, with the terrible punting. Um,
Oh, that one punt that they had to redo and ended up costing them, like, 40 yards. Oh,
yeah, where the
awful.
one where the Bucks started on Kansas City's 40, like
Mm.
crazy. Um, it was oh my god, it was just roundly terrible. Uh, that even like I said, even if they had made all of those catches, I'm not sure it changes anything. Well, I'm sure that the score would look a little better, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But, we might be talking about how the Chiefs lost this game 31-25 or some shit, or 24. I'm not quite sure what number we're at here. But actually, I guess 23, two touchdowns doesn't matter. Um, but man, it was just fucking all right. So let's get into some of the stats on it. Um, so Pat Mahomes, he intended So he completed 270 yards. Okay, he intended in the air 382 yards and completed air yards got 131. So he only ended up actually completing 1/3 of the total in air yards that he intended on in his throws, which might I add also doesn't include how far back behind the line of scrimmage he was for all these fucking plays, which is immense.
Just
Um,
a stat I wanna throw in there while you're mentioning that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you seen the stat of how many yards he rushed, in total behind the line?
Oh, I think you sent this to me, but I forgot. Yeah, say it out.
If you had to guess, like what an appropriate number would be, not necessarily for this game in particular, but just in general, what would you say? A quarterback scrambling behind the line, even with a fair amount of pressure, would be running in a game. Let's say 60 pass attempts. We'll say 50 pass
60. Wow.
attempts. Yeah,
Okay.
60. This is Big 12 football I'm thinking of right now.
All right. So 50 pass attempts is basically Mahomes in this game. You got to figure you're going to get pressured. I don't know. If you're got a bad line, you're going to get pressured, say 30% of the time. So now we're looking at like 17 pressure dropbacks. And if you scramble, in theory, you're still trying to work on a quick release, try to get the ball moving, or go for the run. So, let's say we're not running too far. I'll say maybe 4 yards on average there. Now, even that feels high for 17 dropbacks. I'll drop it in at 30 yards.
498.
Yeah. Ooh, wow.
I really am trying to find the exact tweet, the exact breakdown, just so I can make sure. I know it was over 400 yards. I really want to make sure I'm not misleading you in that
So
exact number.
if that's
Regardless,
the case,
I don't think there's much leeway there.
if that's the case,
498, yeah.
Patrick Mahomes was pressured 20 times. So if he had 500 scrambling behind the line of scrimmage, running around the field yards, that would mean that he how many? Wait, shit. What's 500 divided by 20? Fuck. Why can't my brain process that?
25.
25. That sounds right. 25 yards per pressure, and that sounds like a very high number. But I would also
Holy shit, I
absolutely
got that
believe it
right.
based on this game.
Um,
That's how bad this game was.
just also while we're on the topic of pressures, do you know those numbers? How many pressures each team had?
I have it in front of me. I just said Pat Mahomes had 20, and I see Brady has 5. Is that what you have?
No, that's not what I have. PFF tweeted out that Brady had 5, Mahomes had 38.
Interesting.
Where'd you get your stuff from?
I'm looking at Pro Football Reference.
Really?
But
I
if
trust
you
Pro Football
combine,
Reference better than PFF, so we'll go with that one.
well, if you combine hurries and pressures, no, because hurries is built into pressures here. So I'm not sure. This is again relatively subjective. Um, man, because honestly, 20% seems light.
Yeah, 20% of his throws that game, that seems very light.
No, not 20%. 20 overall.
I don't know where I got percent from. It doesn't
Percentage wise,
really
he's at
change.
35.7.
Yeah, percentage-wise, it doesn't really make much of a difference. It seemed like it was fucking every single play.
Oh yeah, it did. Speaking of fucking percentages though, like what's kind of wacky is how much Brady and Mahomes are in line in some of these percentages. Like drop percent. Pat Mahomes had 5. Brady had 3. But because of the increased number of attempts, Pat Mahomes' drop percent 10.9, Brady's 10.3. So percentage wise in line. I'd be willing to bet based on the huge gap in air yards, intended versus completed, that Mahomes' drops were for significantly more yards, but that's not part of what's included here. Same thing goes for bad throw percent. Brady was at 13.8, Mahomes at 15.2. Eesh.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
So
Build
Mahomes
your offensive
o-
line.
Mahomes only ended up completing 2.7 air yards per pass attempt.
Holy shit.
Now, Brady only completed 2.5 air yards per pass attempt, but that's also much easier to do when you're winning the whole game.
Yeah, like when you're managing a game, it's fairly not straightforward, but it's fairly simple to go back and then say, "Hey, let's let's keep it simple. Let's keep what we're doing. Pressure's off. We just need to move the chains, not drastically, affect the outcome of the game by pushing the ball downfield, doing all the sort of things you have to do when you're behind.
Yeah, for reference, completed air yards per pass attempt for Mahomes for the season in 2018, 4.3, 2019, 4.3, 2020, 4.2. This game, 2.7. So this is vastly out of the norm for him. And it obviously, I mean, it was a bad game for him. Just trying to highlight it. Completed air yards per completion in this game, 5. Historically 6.5, 6.5, and 6.3 in his 3 main seasons as a starter. I mean, take your pick of stats. This was bad. There's also the factor of his turf toe that he had to have surgery on and all that shit. But oh man, just ugly. And then let's look at some rushing, shall we?
Sure.
Oh God, it's never going to get better for Kansas City. If you're a fan, I'm sorry, you might as well look away.
It's
so
not my
total.
fault. You should absolutely look away.
Yeah. So, Tampa Bay rushed 33 times for 145 yards and 1 touchdown. Kansas City rushed 17 times for 107 total yards and no touchdowns.
Oof.
Oof, indeed. Oh God, yeah. I mean, I guess somehow, technically that is 6.3 yards per rush, which would be good, but boy, howdy, is it bad.
Boy, howdy.
Oh man. Yeah, God, yeah. So, because Patrick Mahomes had 8.5 yards per scramble and had 6.6 rushing yards before before contact. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was oh wait, I just lost it. Where did I go? Son of a bitch. Where are we, Clyde?
He's bound
Oh, there we go.
down.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 7.1 yards per rushing attempt, and then Tyreek Hill and Darrell Williams basically were a non-factor in the game, each collecting only 5 rushing yards. Tyreek Hill on 1 attempt, Darrell Williams with 2. Which also seems weird because I feel like rushing was a much bigger part of the game than 17 attempts. I felt like I was getting annoyed by how much they were trying to run, but I guess not. Interesting.
I was honestly so distracted by the pass rush, I barely noticed the amount they were running.
How many broken tackles do you think Kansas City running backs had?
4.
1.
Yikes. Who was it?
Yeah. Clyde
Clyde.
Edwards-Helaire. Yeah. Buccaneers had 4 broken tackles during the game, but not the Chiefs. How many broken tackles do you think the Chiefs receivers had?
0.
2. However, they had 5 drops.
Oh my
The
God.
Buccaneers, 5. Kelsey had 1. Tyreek had 1. Darrell Williams had 1. Oh, Darrell, that's so bad. Darrell Williams finishes this game 2 rushes for 5 yards and 2 receptions on 7 targets for 10 yards. 2 drop passes.
Man, I don't watch a ton of Kansas City games. I haven't really followed any closer than what a normal fan would, watching the best team in football. But fuck, like, how did Le'Veon Bell not get into this game when Darrell Williams did?
Yeah, honestly, I'm hesitant to say it because I watched a lot of Le'Veon Bell games this year, and it wasn't his best season because the Jets are a nightmare team. But yeah, with Darrell Williams turning in what is such a terrible performance, I mean, how do you not give Lev Bell even a shot. But Jesus.
Like I know he's regressed a little bit because he's old and hasn't been playing nearly as well as he did when he was in Pittsburgh, but like, is it that dramatic?
Right.
Someone tell me how to think about this, because I've not broken down Le'Veon Bell after he broke my goddamn heart.
And what's amazing is, you know what the average depth of target for Darrell Williams was on these 7 targets? 0
Uh,
yards. They were all like either at or behind the line of scrimmage then,
that's
basically.
interesting to say the least.
Yeah, that's fucking awful, is what that is. Jesus Christ.
Uh,
Oh man, that is so
good
bad.
lord. Well, do you have any final thoughts on
Yeah.
this game? I don't want to get stuck on this forever.
Yeah,
While
I know. I
being
could get lost on the rabbit hole of the many, many, many stats that there are for NFL games. I find them to be so much fun. Um Oh, one other aspect of the game, kind of, in terms of entertainment value, what is your opinion on the weekend's halftime show?
I didn't think it was that good.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
It just did nothing for me.
It felt weird that also there was like nobody else who came out.
Yeah, I was very surprised until I found out that he paid for it all himself.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. Yeah, he paid like $7, $8 million, some shit like that.
And did not get paid for his performance, which I'm sure when he approached the NFL with this offer of like, I'm gonna perform, I'm gonna do it my way, I'm gonna pay for it, you're not gonna have any say, I won't even take any payment. I imagine it all came out in a single sentence, and they were just like, "You're gonna pay for it, and we don't have to pay you? Yeah, dude, do whatever you want. I don't even give a shit. Like, go ahead."
Oh man, I couldn't get over the fact that like obviously if you win to the game, you have bad judgment. Um, because why would you? It's a pandemic.
I don't
But
know.
could
If I was a healthcare worker and they were like, "All right, you're gonna be one of 22,000 people that go to this game," the smallest in the history of, the Super Bowl, I'd be like, "All right, I'll fucking mask up. I will sit in the nosebleeds or, as far away from anyone else as I can possibly be," but I think I would go to the game. Like, I haven't I
I
barely go out.
understand it.
I'd go out as little as humanly possible for various reasons, mostly just to avoid people. But I think I'd have to go to the game. Like, that's not something I think I could turn down.
I understand. Point being, imagine you paid for a ticket to this game, part of which includes a ticket to the halftime show, and then the man giving the performance leaves the stage for a significant period of time, and you have to then watch it on a screen. I'd be furious.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
It was so fucking dumb. And then I'm sorry, I lost my shit when they panned out while he was on the field to all the people dressed like him dancing because you could not tell what the fuck was happening from a distance. It looked like a bunch of people just high on MDMA just kind of going at it. And while that might be what they were going for, that is not pleasing to watch. It looked ridiculous.
Imagine what old people were saying about this.
Well, you know what's funny is my boss at work loved it.
Really?
Yeah, she was like, "I just thought it was so creative." I'm like, "Oh, wow. Well, it was I thought it was bad." But
I didn't see anything about it at all, from, like, my parents or anything, like, any of the older people I see. So, I don't know.
Also shout outs to the streaker that
Yeah.
ran on the field, who apparently placed a $50,000 bet that there would be a streaker at the Super Bowl and then did it himself and collected $275,000 as his return on his
I don't
bet.
I don't think he's gonna be able to. I didn't see that he collected. I saw that that's, like, what the ticket would have paid out. I don't think he's gonna be able to collect the ticket.
Oh, I had seen that he had already collected.
Do you wanna try and find that?
I
Because
really don't. I want to live in the world where he does collect it.
I don't, which is fine. It would be my assumption and my understanding that part of the agreement of placing that bet is that you cannot have, a tangible con connection to the outcome. Like, you cannot directly affect the outcome of that bet, like, him being
You're right.
the streaker, I imagine
Streaker
that.
tries to collect $375,000 bet, but gets shut down by Sportsbook.
Yeah, I don't know why in the world you would ever openly admit to putting that bet down and not understanding that you can't do that. It's against the law, or at least the law of the casino that you bet with.
Yeah, I mean, it seems obviously against the rules. Would have figured. See, I think this guy's problem is that he announced he did it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if you find a story about it, then someone's gonna find out about it.
It's like the biggest issue for criminals everywhere. Like, how have you not, like, you watch so much crime drama, you see all this shit on TV, it inspires you to pull this shit.
I
How in
mean,
the
it's
world
Florida.
can
These
you not
people eat
realize,
crayons.
yeah.
Florida
You're right.
is the worst state.
The old assumption that there is rational thought behind it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah, this Super Bowl was not fun. It's also going to get painted as a Tom Brady success story, which I think is bullshit because while he did have a good game, this is a Todd Bowles success story.
Yep.
And Super Bowl MVP is a stupid award because it almost always feels like it goes to the quarterback, whether they had the largest impact on the game or not.
Mhm.
Because it's easy. It's an individual position. Like the defense is what really made this game such a success story for Tampa Bay, but not because of any necessarily, I should say, not necessarily because of any individual player, but because of the scheme overall that was crafted out and how they were going to approach the Chiefs' offense, which again, Todd Bowles. But there's no good way of administering. You can't. Bowles isn't a player, so you can't give him the most valuable player award. So it went to Tom Brady, who was the storyline of the game, but not necessarily. I think it's brightest star. So I
It should
don't think, huh?
it should have been Devin White. He had a hell of a game. He had the biggest impact on defense. Yeah, Tom threw what, 3 touchdowns, but it
Yeah,
wasn't it wasn't his
it's not his success story.
half. Yeah.
He is the storyline because of who he is. Like he got this award for being who he is.
Mhm.
A common complaint from Patriots fans about Peyton Manning winning the award.
Fuck off.
Yeah. Um, in Yeah. So I don't care. It doesn't sting nearly as bad as when the Patriots would win it with Tom. I have immediately stopped caring, but not a great football experience in the afternoon on Sunday. Gotta say.
No, completely agree. Wasn't perfect, but hey, had a good time.
All right. So you want to talk some quarterback trade stuff that's been going on?
Sure.
All right. Well, I guess we should start um with the one that actually happened, right? The Lions Rams, Jesus Christ. The Ryan the Ryan's Lambs trade, the Lions Rams trade. Sending Matt Stafford over to Los Angeles in exchange for Jared Goff and pieces. So let me get the exact trade details up.
The Lions are sending Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for the Rams' first-round draft picks in 2022 and 2023, a third-round pick in 2021, and quarterback Jared Goff. I don't know how the Rams have draft picks to send. I don't.
Oh, that's its own question, isn't it?
Um, I mean, what year did they draft Goff? 2018?
16.
No way, really?
Oh, dude, absolutely.
What?
No, it's 2019.
It's definitely not 2019.
Oh, then
You were correct.
huh?
You changed your answer, so you're still wrong. But yeah,
I'm having a really rough time with Google right now.
Josh is fucking hammered right now.
Man, this is this is the roughest Google I've had in a while. And that's saying something.
Yeah, no shit. So from 2016 I'm sorry, 2016 will be the last year the Rams draft in the first round until 2024.
And you know what's sad is with the way the NFL is constructed, if they win one title, it's I guess technically worth it. Um,
Yeah, if you win a title, it's
guess.
absolutely worth it. At the same time, 8 straight years without a first round pick is insanity. Or 7 straight years without a first round pick. It will be the
Oh,
8th year.
completely. All right, so let's approach this trade in a couple ways. First off, let's look at it from a contract perspective because these guys make a lot of money, and it's usually a big incentive for why they get moved around. So, Goff in 2021 is slotted to make his cap hit anyway is $27.8 million. 2022 it's $25.5 million. We're only going to take those 2 years because that's when Stafford's ends. There is 2 more years on top of it at $25 million in 2023, $26 million in 2024. So there's that extra $51 million that are in play for the Lions after the end of 2022. But we'll take it from there. Stafford in 2021 is slotted to make or his hit against the cap is $20 million. And then in 2022, it's $23 million. So the Rams are in some way saving $7.8 million in this upcoming season and then $2.5 million the following season, overall saving in just these 2 years, $10 million. Plus, unless there's some money being retained by the Rams. I haven't seen it, but it also means that they get to free themselves of the $51 million that they'd be on the hook for in the final 2 years. So altogether, they seem to be saving $61 million, which kind of in of itself makes this worth it. Only because, and we'll get into that as the next point, Goff isn't very good. So I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying he isn't very good. And I'm not sure Stafford is significantly better. But well, no, what I'm trying to say here is I'm not trying to talk about comparative skill yet. All I'm saying is that $61 million for a dude that isn't very, very good, that's a lot of money. So I get it.
Are you
from
saying
that perspective?
Is 61 million, is that Stafford or Goff's contract?
That's Goff.
Okay. Then I can agree with that statement. That is
Right.
significant overpay and is why we're seeing a bunch of picks come back with this. That being said, you know what? You're in the driver's seat here. I'll let you keep driving.
Well, no. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on the money yet before we move on to the other parts of it?
The cap space for the Rams is always been and will be an issue. Obviously, you know, they have a lot of very high paid players. They've been in this cap hell for several years now. I still don't know how they manage it, but then again, the cap is a mystery. And especially this upcoming year when it's getting reduced to now, they're predicting 180, 181 as the salary cap. It would be hard to maintain that team. You know, a lot of teams are going to have to cut good players to get under the cap. You know, just throwing it in there. The Broncos cut AJ Boye today because he has a $13 million cap hit that they saved by cutting him. That's an all-pro player. a couple years ago. So I think it's necessary for them to have gotten rid of Goff, and being able to get a guy like Stafford back is huge.
Yeah, and again, it's a big trade, not just because of the players or contracts, but also because of the teams and their individual positions, as well as the players. And like there's a lot of different angles to look at this from. So, but trying to keep it as narrow focus as we can as we talk about the bits and pieces. For the Rams, on its face, this makes all the sense in the world. Because like you said, the stuff's eventually gonna be coming due, and this just makes their future cap finaglings so much easier. Being able to push some of the potentially anyway push some of the cap hits towards those 2023 and 2024 seasons where Goff's contract just got freed up. So we'll see how that works over time. Stafford, on the other hand, looking to get out of Detroit, because Detroit has never won with him, and
They're not
Detroit.
close.
No, they're not close. And Detroit, to their credit, was like, "Yeah, man, like, thank you. We'll do what we can," and then did him a solid. It would seem. They put him on a contender, so Stafford gets to go to a winning a team positioned to win. He will be likely an upgrade there and put them in an even stronger position, and get back a guy who can play quarterback when they have a slew of other problems they need to address, and Goff can be a stopgap for him. And they have the cap space to kind of throw around. So
I really want to bring up the QB rankings we did. Way back when. NFL position rankings, just to compare. So this was done in June of last year, June 6th. So going into this past season, I personally had Goff. Why can't I find him? Don't tell me it's that low. No, I'm just blind as a goddamn fucking bat. I had Matthew Stafford at 16. I am fucking stupid.
Where did I have Stafford? Do you have that?
I don't think I do. Maybe I do. No.
No, that's okay. I forgive you.
Jared Goff I had at 33. Was I fucking drunk or high when I made this? I put Gardner Minshew at 32 and Jared Goff at 33. Andy Dalton at 29. What?
Wow, you put Dalton over Goff. Wow, I don't remember this at all.
I don't either. It's amazing how much I would change these rankings now. But was there some caveat to this?
Asking
I
the
don't know.
wrong man.
What I'm saying, well, what I want to get at is, I think in the Rams offense, if Stafford is healthy, if Stafford has the protection, if he's playing with, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, he's got Tyler Higbee there. He has some diverse weapons. I think he could easily, I don't want to say easily because that's, excuse me, I have the hiccups. That's, discounting how good the rest of the league is, but I think he has a chance to put up a top 5 QB season next year. Goff was definitely a cap for that team. He was definitely a guy that was limiting their potential. He was able to make all the throws. He is able to drive the offense, but I don't think he would ever be able to control the offense. I don't think he was able to improvise out of what we had, like what we saw. I don't think he would be able to improvise away from that playbook anywhere close to the way Matt Stafford can. And I think working with a guy like Sean McVay it will really allow that team to focus themselves around Stafford rather than protecting Stafford in the way that they had to with Goff. So I think it's really just going to open that offense up and just make it extremely more versatile and deep. And I'm very excited to see what he can do with a guy like Sean McVay compared to, a Jim Bob Cooter.
Ugh. Those dark times.
There's many better examples that he's worked with, but none with quite the same level of 80
Not
great
that punchy name.
great name that Jim Bob
Yeah.
Cooter has.
Such a great football name. For a quick comparison, Matthew Stafford in his career, 62.6% completion percent. Let's see if I can find some game-based stats. 273.4 yards per game on average, 4.5% touchdown percent to a 2.3% interception percent. Versus Goff sitting at a 63.4% completion percent, so that is higher. A 4.4% touchdown percent, which is lower. A 2.3% interception percent, which is the same. 263.3 yards per game, which is lower. Average quarterback rating for Matt Stafford over his career, 89.9. Goff, 91.5. That's actually interesting. But yeah, Stafford, they're getting a guy that has, in a full 16-game season, has never had fewer than 4,000 yards in his career. That's a good guy.
It's a good player.
Yeah, that's a guy who's going to win you some football games. I mean, yeah.
I'm really excited to see how this team purrs.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. In addition to Goff, the Rams also sent over, because we didn't talk about the picks in depth yet, 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. And I always laugh a little bit when we see these like mid-round picks going in with these huge blockbusters, because it's like, is that what makes or breaks the deal? It's like, all right, we'll take Goff, we'll take 2 first-round picks, but can you make it a little bit sweeter of a deal?
I need you to do more.
I'll give you that fourth. It's Goff, 2 first-round picks and a fourth. That fourth just ain't cutting it. It's like when you see a 7th. It's like, really? A 7th? That's what we're trading now? But anyway. So in theory, if this works out well for the Rams, those first-round picks will be pretty late. And who cares about that third-round pick? But for the Lions, in terms of what I had said previously, which is this seems to be a good stopgap quarterback fill for them while they figure the rest of their shit out, these 2 first-round picks aid in that tremendously, because they can be used to figure the rest of their roster shit out, build up some pieces that maybe aren't QB, and then figure QB out later, either on the free agency level, or try to use some of these first-round picks either to draft a quarterback or for capital for trading up in future drafts. So it seems to just make all the sense in the world for the Lions.
I got distracted looking at a chart, and I am sorry if I missed a question.
No, I was just saying this seems to make a lot of sense for it's a trade where you can so clearly tell. It's refreshing that this trade isn't just a salary dump for the Lions. Like they have a plan for rebuilding purposes. And it's not just like blindly to get better. Like this is a fun trade because there's a clear strategy with the worst team trying to improve here in a meaningful way. It's refreshing to see.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Oh man. January 14th was when the Lions hired the Rams director of college scouting to be their new GM. This is an insider deal. He's going to quit and just go back and join the Rams in like a week and a half.
This is insider trading, folks. We found it.
But no, Brad Holmes got hired to be the new GM this year. They hired Matt Campbell as the new head coach. I like what the Lions are doing. I'm biased because I've always wanted to see the Lions perform well. That's always been, something I've been hoping I could see one day. And I really want them to do it. And I think of all the times in their history when I've been alive, this is the right setup to do it. And that feels disgusting to say because they just lost Matt Stafford. And, having him and Calvin Johnson together was always fantastic to watch. But it never was at a point where you could see, hey, they are these steps away from a championship. And I think now we're still not at that point, but I'm confident that they're on the path to get there. So, go to the Lions. Good
Go
on the
Lions.
Lions. Let's enunciate.
Now, for
Yep.
the Rams side of things, I am tempted to say this is also good for them,
Oh my god.
but in like the worst way possible.
Also so true.
Like, this is probably exactly what they needed to do, but the only reason it's what they needed to do is because they fucked themselves so hard to get here.
It is it's a payment I completely agree is necessary. I love the move for their short-term success. For the next 10 years after, it gets to the point where you can't pay Matt Stafford, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, these premier top of their position guys who command significant paychecks. That's not sustainable. And when they get to the point where they inevitably have to break this up, the future from that point on is dark because you don't have any young homegrown talent on a rookie deal. You don't have any guys that you can come in and grow with your team. And granted, rookie deal is, maximum of 5 years. You can't really plan too far ahead relying on that, but it's a cycle that is either going to, provide positive feedback or it's going to provide negative feedback. Bringing in guys consistently every year with your first, second, third round picks that can contribute in some way doesn't even have to be in a impacting, meaningful way, but just having guys that you can rely on for depth, for starters, for a top talent player when you get lucky is incredibly, unbelievably helpful for building your overall team. And when you do not have these, foundational pieces, it forces you to overspend. It forces you to take risks with assets that are far more limited. When you have draft picks to rely on, when you have free agents to rely on, and you can mix the two, it gives you a large pool of assets to bounce off of, different investments and allows you to take risks that you otherwise wouldn't be able to take without that kind of capital. And it allows you to recover from bad mistakes. And without those, you're kind of putting all of your chips into these baskets that if they fall through, they're really going to tank your team. And I just don't love the Rams' future with that because they won't be in a good place.
Oh man, they are going to be an interesting case going forward because they are either going to be an example for how the league progresses, or a warning to never do this again. So far, I'd say they're a warning.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
even if they win one title, what they have had to go through to get it, like the route, let's assume the Rams win the Super Bowl next season. The route that the Rams would have gone to accomplish that versus the route that the Bucks had to go through to just win it this season, laughable. You literally just laughed. Laughable comparisons. Like, now obviously, signing literal actual Tom Brady certainly helps. But that's not the only thing that the Bucks did. And, we're sitting here arguing about the importance of it, but the Bucks did a lot of other things right this season, heading into it, that led to this type of success. So seeing what the Rams have done, it's either going to be a process that gets refined and streamlined, so it doesn't take like 6 years to get right and multiple quarterbacks, or it's never going to be tried again because this is fucking stupid. So we'll find out.
I think the most likely scenario is this has some level of success. They win a Super Bowl. They get to that point. Maybe not even best case, or not even most likely, but best case scenarios. They win a Super Bowl. Their fans have a sigh of relief. They can be content with what, the outcome was, but the league as a whole takes note of the insane risk that had to be taken and how close it came to not working out. And even though it did, in the end, I think everyone's just going to look at this and say, just not worth it.
Oh, God, it certainly doesn't seem like it. Speaking of which, let's pivot on over, unless you have any closing takes on this.
No.
All right. It's not official, and we were waiting on some official news. We're hoping it might come before we recorded this, but the Eagles are trying to trade Carson Wentz, and the Bears are trying to trade for Carson Wentz. There's been some stagnation here, as the Eagles are either trying to hold out because they actually believe in Carson Wentz, or they're trying to hold out because they want more for Carson Wentz. Last thing I had seen, the Bears had previously offered 2 second-round picks and Nick Foles. I kind of think that allegedly. And apparently they've made another offer since then. We don't have any impression of what it might be, but they made another offer since then, so chances are it's higher. I don't know what the Eagles' plan is here, but whatever the Bears are offering, the Eagles should take.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
And it's not even like they desperately need to get rid of Carson Wentz, but if they have a quarterback room of Jalen Hurts and Nick Foles and a bunch of money freed up to go do other shit, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tell you Carson Wentz is bad. I don't think he's bad. He's inconsistent and he gets hurt a lot, and your rest of your team has potential in other spots. You can go do other shit and get better in other places. Carson Wentz isn't winning you the Super Bowl.
No. At least not the Carson Wentz we've seen lately.
No.
Like, yes, we've seen those kind of heights in the past, but you look at the scenarios he's been in the past 2 years, and it just doesn't paint a positive picture looking out for the rest of his contract. And you have a guy in Jalen Hurts who I'm very high on. They seem to be very high on. The team as a whole seems to be very high on. He's cheap, which is the biggest thing. I don't see how you try and fix him when you have a guy that doesn't need to necessarily be fixed, just needs to be kind of molded. I think it'd be dumb not to take a deal for Carson at this point. Unless you can't get anything back, I'd say, okay, hold out for maybe there's an injury in training camp. Maybe, a team gets stuck in a position where they're a little more desperate and are a little more willing to pay that kind of money out or that kind of capital out. But holding on to him with the intent of fixing him, and having him return to that role that he was in just seems like a huge mistake.
I know, and it's a good position for them to move on, be in a position to draft another quarterback if they really fucking felt like it. If for whatever reason they didn't have faith in Hurts or what. Like, I don't get what the attachment is to Wentz for the Eagles when this is a great position for them to not be quite as buried as Goff or as entrenched as Goff was. They have a chance to move on from Wentz at a not as much of a loss as trading Goff away was. Hell, they'll actually get something in return. Like, I don't know why they're not jumping at this. Either they're overplaying their hand or they're overestimating Carson Wentz.
I think they're in part overplaying their hand, and also looking at the price they paid to get him and the price they would be giving up, and they understand they would lose their jobs if Hurts doesn't work out better than Carson Wentz, and if somehow Carson Wentz is able to kind of fix his issues, solve his issues, get back to that level, and then the Eagles are looking like idiots and failures, and that inevitably would cost them their jobs. And
sunk cost, man. Move on.
At the same time, with how I can play the devil's advocate and look at it and say, we can all see how drastic the NFL is and how it needs to be in order to stay up to date, and how patience is a virtue that many NFL franchises just do not have or aren't able to have. And it doesn't matter if it works out 6 years from now. If it doesn't work out 2-3 years from now, they're gone.
I think it's a fast paced league, and you either got to shape up or you're gonna miss out. I mean that's the way they're look. At some point between now and the inevitable heat death of the universe, Carson Wentz will stop playing football for Philadelphia. Like, hate to break it to Philly fans, at some point it's gonna happen. Your fucking choice here, man, is to figure out if it's gonna happen now, where you get something in return, or if you want to bank on it getting worse and you get less back when Carson Wentz leaves, in that you either get nothing because you didn't trade him, or you get significantly lower value because you traded him at a lower value. And you risk him being better, and either he just never leaves and he's good forever, or you trade him at a higher value. And I think the likelihood of those second two things are very low. And that's not, again, it's not even necessarily a dig at late career resurgence or even like third, fourth year quarterback resurgences are super rare. They're really rare. It's weird to bank on that. And it wouldn't be necessarily like weird if it happened, but it'd be weird to bank on. Don't bet on that.
The only example I can even think of is Carson Palmer.
Okay.
And man, you have a guy there that has a ton of promise. Why he's so cheap too. Eagles need to. I'm not saying they need to rush and get this done today or tomorrow, or not be patient with this, but they need to do something at some point. Like, they cannot waste this opportunity.
Firmly agreed.
Yeah.
So, there's still the Deshaun Watson rumors, which are getting more confusing by the day. It apparently seems as though the Texans continue to be a hot mess as more reporting comes out about the dysfunction within the front office, which would make you think it's more likely for Deshaun Watson to get what he wants. However, the front office seems to be holding him hostage. So who fucking knows? It's too murky to even make guesses at trade destinations, values, timelines, any of that shit. So we're gonna kind of leave it be. There were Hall of Fame before the Super Bowl, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to hold off on those until either this upcoming Sunday or upcoming Monday or next Thursday, just so we have time to do it all. We don't want to give anyone short shrift when they get into the NFL Hall of Fame, because it's a big deal, and these are players that Corwin and I grew up with. So I'm sure we're gonna have lots to say. And same thing with the awards and honors. There's many words to be said about the awards, as I'm sure Corwin will detail for us when we talk about them. So gonna save that for later. Anything else for this week?
No.
All right. So it is still Black History Month, so I wanted to give a shout out as a little bit of Black history knowledge for the United States of America, keeping it sports related. Corwin Heller, who was the first Black quarterback in the NFL. Do you know? I had no idea until I looked it up.
Warren Moon.
No, Marlon Briscoe.
Little different. Different name.
Marlon Oliver Briscoe was drafted by the Denver Broncos and became the first Black starting quarterback in the NFL, and set a Denver Broncos at the time rookie record of 14 touchdown passes in that season. After that 1 year, he played 3 seasons in Buffalo, 3 seasons in Miami. In his 1975 campaign, he played in both Detroit and San Diego, and then wrapped up his career at age 31 in 1976 in New England. But by that time, he had switched all those rest of those seasons, his age, or the 1969 season to the 1976 season, he became a wide receiver. The only season he played as a quarterback was in 1968 in Denver. And I assume he switched to wide receiver for racism reasons, because that seems to be a pretty safe bet. But Marlon Briscoe, not in the Hall of Fame, surprisingly, 2-time Super Bowl champ, 1-time Pro Bowler, and first Black starting quarterback in NFL history, not in the Hall of Fame. Feels like an oversight. I'd also like to shout out Fritz Pollard. So Fritz Pollard was the first Black quarterback in football history, not necessarily NFL, because he played on teams that pre-existed some of the NFL's teams. So he was a quarterback on the Akron Pros, the Union Club of Phoenixville, the Milwaukee Badgers, Gilberton Cardamounts, the Hammond Pros, the Providence Steamrollers, and the Akron Indians.
I've heard of those teams.
Yeah, no clue. As a coach, he was the coach while he was playing for some of these teams, including the Lincoln Lions, the Akron Pros, Hammond Pros, and then his post-playing career, the Chicago Blackhawks, the football team, not the hockey team. So that's Fritz Pollard. He also eventually became the first African-American head coach in the NFL, but I don't see what team that was with. So I don't know. Oh, the Akron Pros, apparently. I guess.
Well,
yeah. I guess that counts as NFL. The Akron Pros might roll into one of the other teams that we know of today. Tough to say. But anyway, so shout outs to 2 of the groundbreaking Black quarterbacks in NFL history, Fritz Pollard and Marlon Briscoe. Now you know. Let's get Marlon Briscoe in the Hall of Fame. Fritz Pollard, for the record, is in the Hall of Fame.
At least we got that.
Yeah. So there's those guys. Now you know. Now you know the name. All right. Well, that's it for this week, I guess. So
I would
if you want to follow,
go
well, what's up, Corwin?
to
What?
that. Sorry, like again or something.
Yeah, I hear you again now. So try it. Try it again.
I just wanted to say it's pretty crazy to me how the baseball players who broke the barrier, the the other sports that did these impressive first feats during times of segregation and things like that we now celebrate. It's really crazy how we don't know those names for football in something that's just as modern day America's pastime. We don't know those players. We don't know those history makers the way that we do in other sports. And I don't really think we should get into it now, but it just came to my head.
No, it's something I think about a lot too. Like we know Willie O'Ree for the NHL. Jackie Robinson for the MLB. I think part of it is that the NHL and the MLB, the one of the few things that those two leagues do well is talk about those two players. How well they talk about all the other black players throughout their history is suspect at best, and how the league has treated their black players since the times those two players made their appearances is also suspect at best. But those two leagues do a very good job of saying our first black players were Jackie Robinson and Willie O'Ree. The NFL doesn't, and I think that's a failure of the NFL, and I also think it's part of a symptom of one, racism, and two, the NFL having such a weird beginning because it was as regional and spread out as baseball was. Come the time of integration, it was it was an establishment. By the time Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 1946, MLB had existed in some form for 60 years. It started in 1880. By the time integration was starting in the NFL, there wasn't even the merger yet. We're talking all these different leagues that have different rules. Like Jackie Robinson played college football at UCLA, but other colleges in the country weren't allowing integrated teams. It was just so disparate because everyone was operating on their own wavelength. Like the NFL really didn't come together until, it was Super Bowl fucking one, Before that, it was just all over the place with what was happening and who was doing what. And I think that's part of the reason. I do think NFL should be doing a significantly better job because, I'd never passingly heard the names Fritz Pollard or Marlon Briscoe.
Nope.
And that's awful. So.
Yeah,
that's on
the future,
them.
but
Yeah. But hey, it's good that we're doing our own research, we're doing our own knowledge hunting, and if you're listening to this, I hope you learned it too. I know that Corwin and I were joined by Keith earlier this month to talk about Black History, but it's Black History the whole month. So I'm going to try to sprinkle in some little knowledge darts at the end of every episode going forward. We had a guest on Monday, so tough to bring up, wanted to make sure we devoted our entire time to that, but we're going to keep it up for the rest of the month at the very least, since this shit is important and we love talking about it. So we're going to keep it up. But that's the show for today. Like this week, I don't know what counts. If you want to find us on Twitter, yell at us for being tired and bad at this today, you can do so at JuicingPod. And if you want to hit us up via email, you can do so at juicingthenumbers@gmail.com. And until Monday, y'all have a good one.